Okay, dead center in the middle there.
Hey.
Somebody.
Jodie, I'm so excited you're here. It's my 21st birthday.
Oh,
So
happy birthday.
Thank you. Thanks. I was just wondering what the most challenging and what the most rewarding aspects were for you to both direct and star in the movie.
Yeah, acting and directing. I did it on Lil and Tate, and I said I would never do it again. And it's funny because I've been having this conversation with Mel for many years. He directed himself in Man Without a Face. He had extensions and makeup and prosthetics and all that. He was on every single day of the shoot. Yeah, we create these impossible tasks for ourselves. It's a very bad idea to act and direct at the same time, and nobody should ever do it. But you know, you do get something. You get. I think I'm happy with my performance, and I'm happy with what I was able to do for Mel's character. And I was concerned when I brought Mel on. I thought, who am I going to get? And who am I going to get that's going to be able to ground the film in the drama, and that's not going to be tempted by his lightness, and to continually bring him back to the dramatic circumstance. Also, to be the eyes and ears of the audience. I mean, her perspective is the audience's perspective. Meredith changes in terms of her relationship to Beaver, how she feels about him, how she thinks about him, her suspiciousness, her, how she suddenly starts realizing that he's destroying her family exactly the same time that the audience does. She brings her through the film in a way that the Beaver can't because he's crazy. So I thought, well, who am I going to get? You know, that's age appropriate and that you're going to believe they know each other and love each other. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to hate myself. I asked Al, and I'm at his house, and I said, well, I'm going to ask you something. I haven't told anybody else. Are you okay with it? And he started laughing, and he was like, oh, of course, it'll be fine. And I knew that what he required as an actor, he's so easy to work with. I've made a film with him before, and he's so easy to direct, and he doesn't have neuroses that a lot of other actors do, so I knew that I could get away with it. I mean, the biggest challenge on this film, just as a big challenge, was getting the tone right. It has a very weird tone, and you have to embrace that tone, but also massage it a little bit so that the audience starts out with a light film and starts out in some ways in a similar, because the Beaver is the narrator, through the Beaver's voice. It's a very detached voice, and we see him in a very detached way, in a light way in the beginning, and then as time goes on, as he darkens, so does the film. Also keeping the two stories, the son story and the father story, as interesting as the other, because you have to pop back and forth. That's a huge challenge, and I've had that problem in other movies. And I tried to really spend a lot of time on the script initially before we started shooting, really figuring that out. How do I make one story and how do I improve each other visually in another way, so that we're seamless. Oh boy, yeah, I worked with great directors, and I think especially recently, I think that's really the most fun part of acting for me now, and the thing that I look forward to the most is working with amazing directors and standing behind their heads and going, why did they do that, and why did they choose that? Strangely, I think the two people that have influenced me the most, certainly recently, I'm not anything like them, but I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from one is David Fincher, who is probably, I think, the greatest technician I've ever worked with, hands down. I mean, man can do anything, and he knows more about every aspect of filmmaking better than any of the technicians, including the actors. He's a better actor than I am. He's just not as pretty. Kind of pretty. I adore him. But he's a man who does 110 takes, and he wants everything absolutely perfect, and he's an incredible technician, and he does not like spontaneity. He likes it to be as planned as possible. And I respect him for that, and I will serve him, and I'll do as many takes as he likes, but obviously when I make my movies, I don't work that way. But I do plan perfectly, and I've learned a lot about planning from him. Neil Jordan, who's exactly the opposite, I think I've learned just equally as much from him. He's a poet and a kind of a stream of consciousness writer, and he approaches filmmaking the same way, even though he prepares emotionally and he understands the text and he understands the movie. He comes in with this really big open hand and open heart, and walks onto the set and says, you know, what if there were 20 pygmies, you know, running across the stage? And suddenly everybody's scrambling to find 20 pygmies. And it's fantastic, because it comes from his crazy mind, and he's inspired in the moment, and it is always, always the right decision at the time that nobody else would have thought of in their hotel room before the film started. I'm not